This is the Kia EV4 Fastback, and it is by far the weirdest car I have tested in a long time. Today we're going to take it through the Electroxam, our own proprietary format, to find out, is this car right for you? So the Kia EV4 is available in two versions. This is the Fastback, but there is also a hatchback version. And if you look at the front, it's just like a normal sedan, good looking, sporty little thing, but what the heck is going on back here? It looks super weird. It's optimized for aerodynamics. So even though this is based on the exact same platform with the same motors and the same batteries as the EV3, this is supposed to do much better on the highway. So why don't we test that right now? Let's go and find out what's the range of this thing. Now, I do live in Spain, where usually it's hot and sunny. It is sunny, but it's not very hot. We're at 3 degrees centigrade outside today. There's actually a bit of snow around me, so that will absolutely eat into the battery. I would have loved to do this in, I don't know, August at 35 degrees. But hey, I can't control the weather. So enough with the chit chat, let's go and check out the highway range of this thing. Right, let's talk about the design, because it is rather funky. The front end is very aggressive, very sporty. If you see it from sort of the side or from where you guys are looking at it, it certainly looks like a sports car. You know, it's short and just slopes down very aggressively. It's also got these vertical lights that I like quite a lot. They're similar to what we've seen on the EV3, but just a little bit more sporty. Reminds me of a Seeker or maybe a Lincoln Co. 02. They've also got these vertical lines, and I do think that this is a nice tendency, a nice, you know, trend that I hope to see on more cars. All right, so let's see if there's an actual frunk under there. There's no button on the key to open it, and funny, because this key's got every other button you can think about. There's 6 different buttons on it, and you can do a lot of things with it, but you can't open up the bonnet. So let's have a look. Go here, give it a good pull, and no, there is no frunk under here, just a bunch of components and stuff. Huh, what a shame. Right, so the side profile of this car is just very strange. Let's start from the front. So you got a normal-ish front end, and then you got these 19-inch rims. Looks really nice. They're all triangular and stuff. And you got your charge port, which is front right, which is not a very good place in my opinion, because the distance from the nose of the car to where the port is quite a lot of distance, you know? So you have to park really close to the charger in order for the cable to actually get there. Furthermore, if you open it up, it opens this way, so you have to sort of get your charging cable around the charging door. Then when you move down the side, you'll see that you got the wheel arches in black, just to make it look even bigger and more muscular. And then you have black parts on the A pillar, B pillar and C pillar. You've got black rear view mirrors as well, which means that the roof looks like it's just floating on top of the car, as if it comes from a different factory than the rest of the car, or something like that. And the further down the back of the car you move, the more madness you find. Right, so we got tinted rear windows, fine. They've got an odd shape here, by the way. If you then get even further down here, you'll see that there is an air outlet here, except there's no air coming through here. It's just solid. It's just a weird design element. And I say weird because it doesn't actually line up with the rear window. So it all looks kind of a little bit out of place. Then we get to this bit here, where we get the tail lights, but they're not really tail lights because they're not at the back of the car. If I'm standing here, I can't see the tail lights because they're sort of off to the side, quite far along the side actually. And in fact, this bit here also lights up. Don't know, it's just all along weird. And they're very vertical as well, just like the bit in the front. There's nothing here as such. Oh yeah, there is one thing that's even weirder with the rear lights. So you see the brake light, the third brake light, the one that's in the middle here, it sits about here and it shines onto the window. So when you actually put on your brake lights, you can see it from inside the car, which is unusual. You usually can't do it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just odd. Also, This is a 4-door, so it opens sort of in the middle of the glass. So it looks like there's a big glass here, but only this bit here is actually glass. This, well, it might technically be glass, but it doesn't go anywhere. There's nothing beneath it. In fact, it's not glass, it's plastic. This is plastic, this is glass. So if I open it up, it sort of breaks the rear window into two. Odd, isn't it? The whole thing just looks weird, right? Yet it's not completely ugly. It's kind of ugly but good looking at the same time. Do you know people like that? I do. Okay, so let me show you the opening here in the back. So as I told you, plastic, glass, and then if I open it up, I'm gonna split it at that line, and it's a 4-door sedan. It's not a 5-door. So I've got plenty of space, 490 litres. I've even got a little bit of extra space here beneath the floor where I can hide my charging cables and, you know, other such things that I don't need too often. The opening is very small in the sense that it's not very tall. It's very wide though. I mean, extremely wide. There is a lot of space. It's just a funny shape. I could fit a bicycle, but not a fridge. Right, so we're ready to start. Let me just show you a few details here. I've got the car in auto regen. There are different levels, so I've just put it in auto. I've also selected the drive mode as normal. I've put the aircon to 21 degrees and everything else should just be standard. Look, it's only 3 degrees Celsius outside. Oh, I've got 96% battery. It gives me 3 readings, like max 619, estimated 385, and minimum 335 kilometers of range. WLTP is 612 if I'm not mistaken. So now would be a good time to put a guess down in the comment section below. How far do you think I'll go at 120 highway speed under these conditions today? Let's get cracking. The way I do these tests is always the same. I drive at 120 kilometers an hour consistently in that direction, and when I'm halfway through the battery, I turn around and go at 120 kilometers an hour back to where I started from, and we'll see how far I go. I don't use echo. I've got climate on 21 degrees, and that's it. I want to do this under the most normal driving conditions I can. All right, I've been driving for a little over an hour now, and according to my GPS system here, the one that's from the car, if I turn around now, I'll get back to the station or to where I started with 17% of battery left. However, I do believe that I have 2 things counting against me. One, it is extremely cold. Well, right now it's 5 degrees. That's not too bad. I've seen 0 during quite a bit of the trip. And I think I've got a headwind. So I'm chancing it that when I turn around and go back to the charging station, I'm going to be more efficient than when I'm doing this drive here. And I hope I'm right. If not, I might be stranded without any power left in the battery. So this is my exit. This is where I have to turn around, because if I do that, I'll get back with just 3% to my charging station. I think that's cutting it close enough, isn't it? Honestly, I think I'll get back with more. I don't know. I really, honestly do not know. Not sure. But I'm a little bit more optimistic than what this thing says. So as I suspected before, I'm actually going to get to the charger now with 14% of battery left. Not 3% as it said when I originally turned around. This means that I'm not going to go there and start charging at 14%. I'm going to keep going, maybe even go to the next charger so I can bring my battery down lower and get a better estimate about the full capacity or the full range of this electric vehicle. Yeah, not the best of estimates. I mean, yeah, I appreciate that it's cautious and that it went from 3 to 14 instead of 14 to 3, but still, I would have appreciated precision. We've finished our range test and we've done a total of 317.6 kilometers in a little bit less than 3 hours. I've just recorded that for a minute here. The efficiency has been 209 watt hours per kilometer, or 20.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is the same as 336 watt hours per mile. Now, I still have 12% of battery left, as you can see here, and I left with 96%. So if we add those percentages to the range I've done so far, means that the total range of the Kia EV4 Fastback in today's conditions, which were horrendous, you know, cold and windy, would be 378 kilometers, or the same as 235 miles. My average speed has been 107 kilometers per hour, or the same as 66 miles per hour. Now here's my charger. Let's just see how quickly we can charge this thing back up again. Okay, so I'm at this Thunder charger. Thunder is a Spanish EV charging operator, and I'm going to use my Thunder card to charge there. Well, it's called an Easy card. You can also pay by credit card, by roaming, by app, basically any other way you want to pay. These stations are everywhere in Spain. In fact, I've driven past 3 other stations on just this range test here today. So if you're ever traveling to Spain, try out the Thunder stations. They're reliable and they're fast. This one can do 400 kilowatts, much more than the car. So the car was using 20.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and my standard test is to do the charging for and my standard charging is 200 kilometers, so I need to charge 41.8 kilowatt hours. Let's see how long time it'll take the EV4. So the car has preheated the batteries. It'll do it automatically when you mark a charging station as your destination, or there's a manual button if you want to just say, hey, heat up my battery, I'm about to charge. So let's see how the charging is going here. We've charged now for 2 minutes, and we're now at 116 kilowatts, very close to the maximum for this car. Not quite up there, right? I thought it could do, well, 120 I think is maximum. So if we're at 15%, we're doing 117. I guess that's okay. We'll keep an eye on how much we have charged. We didn't even get a charging curve here. This is quite nice. And what we need to see is this number, the kilowatt hours, go up to 41.8. So we've got the charging speed, which is now as close to 120 as you could possibly imagine without it being 120. We've got the time to charge to 80%, which is 29 minutes. If we want to go all the way up to 100%, it's going to take us an hour and 16 minutes. That's a massive difference. It's just 29 minutes for the, you know, from 20 to 80%. But if we want to go the last 20 minutes, it's going to take us nearly an hour more than that. So we currently have this much range, 89 kilometers. Yeah, this is all the information we need. English. Right, we've charged the first 100 kilometers, a little bit more even, in 12 minutes. And now we are actually charging at more than 120 kilowatts. Right, it took us 21 minutes and 10 seconds to get to 41.8 kilowatt hours. I think it's really interesting that the first 100 kilometers took 12 minutes and the second 100 kilometers took only 9. So it's faster to charge on the second half. It's usually the other way around. And you say, why is that? Well, that is because this car has an excellent charging curve. There you go. We're currently charging at 128. Well, now it just dropped now, but 128 kilowatts. And we started at 15. So this is the first 100 and this is the second 100. So having a great charging curve is almost more important than the top speed while charging. How about that? So the EV4 and the EV3, as I said at the beginning, are two very, very different cars. In fact, if I didn't know for a fact that this is the same setup, same platform, same battery, same motor, everything basically is the same, I would not have believed that this was the same car. Honestly, they feel so fantastically different. See, both of them are front-wheel drive, 150 kilowatts, 204 horsepower, and that is typically a recipe, well, for disaster, at least if you're looking at how well they drive. But not in this case. Like, I'm going round a roundabout now, and I can put my foot down, and I can't upset the car. I can't get the wheels to spin. I really can't. But if I do the same in the EV3, it's just going to be bouncing all over the place and the wheels are just going to be spinning. The EV3 is much taller, it weighs 200 kilos more. This one has a wider body setup, and the fact that it's longer, it just all helps with the stability. And I can tell, I mean, I'm not a, driver in the sense that, I'm not a professional driver. And there are many times when I can't really say that this car drives better than that car, etc. But in this case, 200%, this car drives really, really well. On the highway, it's planted, it's settled. It drives like it's on rails. In fact, when I first picked up this car, I just dropped off the EV3 and then I, drove it around a little bit, and then I thought, is this really the same? Is this really front wheel drive? I had to stop and check the specs. And yes, it is in theory the same, but the experience is completely different. If you like driving a car, I mean, you probably do, but if how the car feels going round a corner is important to you, then the EV4 is many, many times better than the EV3. Absolutely. I have several, and there's a button here on the steering wheel to change them. And if you look up there, I've got My Drive, which you can customize, Snow, Eco, Normal, and Sport. Let's just leave it in Sport for now. In Eco, I'll get less aircon, I'll get less acceleration, I'll get less top speed. In Normal, it's sort of an all-round thing. In Sport, I get basically the same as normal, but just a little bit more aggressive throttle response. That's interesting, but even more interesting than that is how they manage the regenerative braking in this car. So it's controlled by these levers I've got here behind the steering wheel. I've got one on each side, just like gear changes in a Ferrari. But in this case, it's not for that. It is to change how much regen is on the car. So there it says now level 0. But if I pull this one over there, it'll go to 1, 2, 3, which is quite heavy braking. And I can go one step further, because if I hold down this lever here on the left-hand side, it'll now say I pedal. The I pedal means that the car will come to a full stop when I let go of the accelerator. This is really useful if you do a lot of city driving. On the other hand, if I sort of get rid of the I pedal and go all the way down from level 3 to 1, 0, now I'm going to hold down this one instead of the one on the left hand side, and it's going to change from level 0 to auto. Now auto means that the car will change the amount of regenerative braking I use depending on the situation and what's coming up next. So in order to use that, you actually need to have your GPS using the map here. So you need to put your destination into the GPS so that the car will know if there's a roundabout or a corner coming up next, and then it will adjust the regenerative braking accordingly. I think this is probably one of the best and most complete setup of regenerative braking in any electric car I've tried. Do you know any better? Oh, it might be a little bit confusing at first, but honestly, you got auto, you got 4 different levels from level 0 to 3, and then you have the I pedal. Right, let's see how fast it actually goes. This car supposedly can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7.8 seconds. Pretty slow, to be honest, but let's see if it's actually true. We're going to use the Draggy to check. And yeah, I'm in sport mode. I've got 75% battery. I'm just going to put my foot down. Let's go. It's not super fast, this acceleration, but hey. And that's 100. So I've done the test a few times now, and officially 7.8 seconds, and the Kia EV4 did it in 7.9. Wow. Doesn't really matter, does it? The interior of the EV4 looks fantastic. So it's really well designed in the sense that it's a pleasure to look at. Look at these really nice placed red LED lights around that just, completes the design of this car. It feels quite luxurious when we're in here. Now the materials aren't quite as luxurious as, for example, in the EV6, its bigger brother. For example, we've got some hard plastics there on the side, and this center console is quite plasticky as well. However, it's practical, and it's more practical than the center console in the EV3, for example. Here, we can open it up. We've got some actual space down here. In the EV3, you get sort of a weird floating things that look like, I don't know, where you put your computer mouse on when you want to try to do some work or something. This here, much more practical. We can actually open up, put our keys down there so they don't fly around in the cabin and we lose them when we're in the middle of a road trip or something. There's also a little bit of extra space inside this center console in the back. The seats are brilliant. they look really, really nice. These horizontal lines give them this old-fashioned feel, yet they have these white stitching in it, and they're heated and they're ventilated. And they have the best headrests in all of the automotive industry. You know, you can adjust them up and down, and you can even adjust them back and forward. So it doesn't matter if you're tall or short or hunchback, you'll be comfortable in this car. The seats are, of course, electronically adjusted, and you can save your settings on one of the 2 settings buttons you have on the door. Now, there's plenty of space in here. I'm 1.90 m, and I've driven the EV6 quite a few times, and honestly, whenever I drive it, my head is touching the roofline. It's very hard for me to fit in the EV6. I can just barely fit, but barely. This one, on the other hand, I fit absolutely fine. There's plenty of space all around. Funny, this is supposed to be smaller. Now, I can just adjust my seats down here electronically, and once I've done that, I can save my settings on either seat position 1 or seat position 2 on buttons I've got here on the door. Now, that leads me to my second point. There are buttons everywhere, and each button does something a little bit random, right? So here we've got auto hold, cameras, parking sensors beeping on and off, and hill descent control. On the left-hand side, we've got heating for the seats, for the steering wheel, ventilation for the seats, and these before-mentioned buttons for saving my presets. All of that I've got down there. It could have been better handled with a good interface on the screen, and maybe even some of the stuff I've got down there. Now, in the center, I've got 4 buttons for climate control here in the middle. Of course, the warnings as well. And just below that, I've got 2 USB ports, and one of them has got a button, because then I can permutate between just giving energy to it or giving data and energy. Come on, Kia. Why do I need so many buttons down there? I also have in the center down below 1 phone charger, just 1. A little bit above, I've got volume control, and then I've got these buttons that are hidden inside the dashboard. They're sort of haptic buttons, so they're not physical buttons, but if I push them, I get a nice satisfying click. I don't like these buttons because honestly, they're the worst of both screens and buttons put into one concept. I like screens because they're flexible. Like if you're on a screen, you can have different buttons do different things, and you can design them up, and if at some point they do something they don't like, they can send you another update later on through the internet, and you can get something different on the screen. I like buttons because they're physical, and you can push them, you can feel them, and you can use them without taking your eyes off the road. Now, these haptic response buttons down there, they're neither flexible like a screen, nor can you use them and feel them like a button. So they're the worst of both worlds. It's like a hybrid car, right? They're not the best of both worlds, they're the worst. So I've got plenty of buttons on the steering wheel as well. To the right for audio and voice control, and on the left I've got my ADAS systems, and then behind the steering wheel I've got a stalk up here for my wipers, and I've got my gear stalk with the start stop button on it. Every time I get into a Kia, and it's been a while, I have to hunt for it until I actually find it. It's hidden here on the gear lever stalk thingy. On the left hand side I've got my lights, and all that is quite okay. It's quite standard. And then here I've got these 2 levers behind the steering wheel to control the regenerative braking in all of its many, many aspects. On my left-hand side, next to my left knee, there are another 3 buttons for parking, for opening the trunk, and 1 for turning off the electronic stability control. But yeah, quite a few buttons, quite a few different interfaces. I'm sure I missed some. Oh yeah, there's another button down here for changing the drive modes, and there's a couple of buttons up here for lighting and stuff like that. But I guess that's what you get. Oh, look at this. If I want to turn on the lights here, I don't have to just open this and reveal the mirror. That doesn't turn on the light. No. Kia loves buttons. So there's a button up there in order to do that. Come on. Button. I guess if you actually buy this car and drive it, then after a couple of weeks, you know where everything is, until you have to, find that button you only use once in a fortnight. This chaos of buttons is also replicated a little bit on the screen. So we've got a main screen here where every interface is different. And it's funny because this is the typical design of a car company designing this, not a software company. Google would have shot the developer who designed this, because we have 20 screens because it's got a lot of functionality like games and connectivity and stuff. And each screen has a different layout. So for example, I go into my settings. Look at this. What is that? I mean, each one of these is supposed to be a square with a button. But since they use a gray icon on a gray background on a black screen, it all just looks dirty and smudgy. And I can't really tell, well, this layout there, is that button or is it that button there? Well, if I stop and think about it, I know it's that one there. But if I'm driving and gazing at it, and I don't use all my brain cells in order to find it, then this is an absolute disaster of a layout. And when you actually go into it, there are other screens, like, for example, check out this one here. I've got like vertical menus there on the left, but I've also got some menus there that I can sort of click on and select stuff. And sometimes if there's enough stuff, I guess I can scroll there, and I guess this is an explanation. I've got another sub menu down there where I can find an online manual. And sometimes I'll have like menus up there as well. Come on, Kia. Can you find one guy who knows a lot about UI and make him design every single screen instead of having 25 different guys designing 25 different screens? Now, aside from that, it does a lot of stuff. You know, games, YouTube, all that. Good. I like that. The GPS system is not brilliant in the sense that it also lacks proper design. It's gray and green, dark green lines on a black and gray background. It's very, very hard to make anything out on this screen. Yeah, there's a daytime thing where you get it a bit more bright, but again, it is not very good. It's very difficult to see if you need to turn left or turn right when you go somewhere. It is also extremely confusing. There are hundreds of buttons, and if you sort of want to click on, say, for example, oh, there's something there, maybe now I've clicked on that, and now it's finding how many kilometers in a direct line to this particular point, and then it's going to either give me the name of whatever's there, or it's going to give me the actual coordinates, which is really, really useful while you're driving to look at these coordinates. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to actually just look at a summary of my route that I've planned here. So I have to click on that. And then I get this here, but I need to find some, I don't know, remaining time, arrival time. I need to find some chargers on the way. I can't get all the way there. So I'm going to go there, which is very, very far away. I don't know what it is. It's just far away. So it's going to find a route, and it says, do you want to find stations on your way? Yeah, or you can set that up. And it's going to plan a route with some chargers, and it does it okay-ish. Sometimes it'll route you to a 50 kilowatt charger, or sometimes it'll, not do the most optimal of routes. But generally speaking, it'll get you there, maybe not in the fastest way. If you don't like that, you, of course, can connect it to Apple CarPlay, which, just look at this. Look at the difference in a layout of a system that is designed by somebody who knows how to design IT systems. It looks, maybe not as sophisticated, but it's usable. It's much more usable, much easier to use than, whatever that is. Aside from that main screen where you do most of the stuff in this car, you got this here screen, which is the climate controls. And that is the most useless of all screens, mostly because it is completely covered by the steering wheel. It doesn't matter how tall or short you are, or how you adjust your steering wheel. Well, I guess you can put it all the way down so you can't move your legs. Maybe that will work. Let me see. No, even so, I still can't see the screen. Doesn't matter if I move it up or down. It just perfectly hits this part of the steering wheel. There's no way to see what's going on that screen. So I have to click on this plus here, and then I get all my climate controls on the main screen here. So this screen is completely useless. I can maximum see 2 or 3 icons in the top right-hand corner there. That's it. Don't know what that one is. Auto. Oh, but I have to sort of look around it in order to see it. Ridiculous. The third screen is the one just behind the steering wheel, the binnacle display. That's actually quite good. Good information, well organized, not too much of it. Good contrast as well. It's not like only gray and dark gray. It's actually white and black and, some green and stuff. It's all right. And I can use the buttons over here to adjust what I want to see on it. So that one's okay. But I've left the best thing for last. I have a heads-up display. And this heads-up display is really good. I can see my ADAS system, I can see my GPS guidance, current speed, and speed limit at the road I'm going on. Perfect. Just what I need. Not too much, not too little. So overall, it's a bit of a clutter in here. You might get used to it, but that doesn't make it all right. That just means that you've gotten used to a clutter. It looks good. It's comfortable and spacey. Yeah, what do you think? Any good? Let's see if I fit in the back as well. Remember, I'm 1.90 m. In the back of the Kia EV4, there's quite a lot of space. So I'm 1.90 m or 6'4", and I can still sit behind myself in the driver's seat. That's quite uncommon in a sedan of this size. Usually, I've either got not enough leg room or not enough headroom. But here I've got both. Yeah, I could perfectly well, let me just sit down a little bit, perfectly well ride in the back of this car. Very good. Also, there's no transmission tunnel. The floor is completely flat, so 3 people could sit next to each other in the back. I do like where they've put the USB connectors here on the actual seats. The seats are a little bit funny though. They've got this thing here in the back. I'm not quite sure what the purpose of it is. Maybe it's for coat hanger. I don't know. We've got a pocket here, and the pocket is rigid. It is not just a cloth pocket. So if you want to put an iPad in there, it's not going to break. And of course, I've got buttons here on the doors so that I can turn on my seat heaters, because it's a Kia and they love their buttons. If I open up here, I get access to 2 cup holder and armrest, but I don't get access to the trunk. For that, I'll have to fold down the seats, and I can either fold down the 2 on the right or the 1 on the left. But it is a really good space. It's really nice. It's nice to be in here. I've got plenty of room. This car has got V2L, vehicle to load. So you can either plug something into the charge port on the outside and, some appliance or something, maybe a barbecue, maybe a loudspeaker if you want to have a party outdoor or something like that. Or you can use this outlet you've got here inside the actual car. Very useful. So the car has a level 2 ADAS system, but it is very, very strange. For example, in order to stay in my lane, I have to activate the lane keep function here by pushing this button here. And now, in order to actually activate the cruise control, I have to push this other button. So there are 2 separate functions, and I can't activate them with just one button. I have to actually click on 2 different things. So now that both things are active, I can adjust my speed with this scroll wheel there, and now the car is basically driving itself. It takes care of the lane keep and the adaptive cruise control. Now, it is not perfect. If the road has a sharp turn or a curve, it will send me out of the lane. It will not slow down sufficiently as to keep me in the lane. It is not the most reliable of systems in that way. I do like how it detects the driver though. It's just by slightly touching the steering wheel. I don't have to grip it or put any force on it. It'll just detect my hands at the steering wheel. There's also this here, maybe you can see it blinking. I can't see it blinking, but this here will detect the driver's attention as well. Now, I have had on a few occasions that a little bit of, I don't know if it's fog or smudge or whatever it is, a little bit of dirt that might have landed on the camera or on the front radar, and suddenly the system's not available at all. It's happened, well, both on this car and on the EV3 I drove a few weeks ago. So the system is okay. It's not super reliable though. It will do lane changes for me if I put on the blinkers though. So for example here, I'm putting on the left blinker, and as you can see, it'll also indicate that in the heads-up display. It does the lane change for me. And we're now in the left lane, and it can overtake cars there. So lots of functions, not so reliable. And now it's time to score the Kia EV4 Fastback GT-Line. I'll go through the 8 Electroxam categories, apply the weighting, and we'll give it a final score. Full scorecard on our website linked below. Range and efficiency. In tough conditions, 0 to 7 degrees Celsius, which is 32 to 45 Fahrenheit, we achieved 378 kilometers, same as 235 miles, at 20.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, or the same efficiency in watt hours per mile would be 336. Normally, that's a 6, but because of the cold, I'm adding 1 point, so 7 points for range and efficiency. Charging. Good features, adjustable AC charging power, V2L, and a decent charging info, though it can be somewhat confusing at times. On DC fast charging, peak was 127 kilowatts. It took us 21 minutes and 10 seconds to add the equivalent of 200 kilometers, 124 miles. That's mid-pack for the segment. So, 7 points for charging. Performance and driving. Acceleration is slow, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7.9 seconds. Doesn't match the sporty look at all. It really needs more power. However, the driving feel is excellent. Lower, wider, more planted than the EV3 and very good through corners. So instead of 3 on numbers alone, I'll give it 5 points for driving. Interior and quality. Space is great. For the driver, even better than in the EV6. Materials look a bit Kia plastic sometimes, but overall is well assembled, nicely designed and comfortable once you learn the layout. 8 points for interior and quality. Exterior and design. Front and side look great. The rear is very weird. You either love it or hate it. If you hate it, there's a hatchback with 5 doors. Biggest issue is the trunk opening. Still, I kinda like the looks, but everybody I've shown it to has gone, ugh. I'm giving it 7 points. Technology. The software UI is a mess. Confusing submenus, poor contrast, and some screens are partly hidden behind the steering wheel. But feature-wise, it's loaded. Great CarPlay, great cameras, loads of apps. So overall, I'm giving it 6 points. Driver assistance systems. When active, they work well, and the heads-up display makes it very clear whether they are on or off. But they can be disabled too easily with minor camera dirt, and activation takes 2 buttons instead of 1. What's that about? So 6 points for driver assistance features. Price. This car, as configured here, has an official price in Spain where I live of 47,750 euros. If I compare it to similar sedans, I put it up against the Tesla Model 3, the BYD Seal Comfort, and the Mercedes CLA 250 Plus. The Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive currently costs 43,780 euros. It has more range and charges significantly better. The BYD Seal Comfort costs 42,790 euros, is better designed both inside and outside and has similar or even better range. And the only more expensive one is the Mercedes CLA 250 Plus at 54,710, but that's a different league in terms of brand and image. Honestly, I don't see many people paying more for a Kia over a Model 3, so in price, this car gets only 3 points. With the weighting applied, the Kia EV4 Fastback GT-Line scores a total of 60 out of 100 points in our Electroxam. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Kia EV4 and its funny looks.